Welcome back to the Vijay Kailash Show, everyone. This is a very exciting episode for me. I mean, this is episode number 25, and honestly, I had no idea that I'd be here right now, right? 25 episodes. I started this podcast a few months ago with the intent of bringing on successful people, learning from them, and then sharing that information with all of you. Of course, use it myself, and that's why I'm bringing on these individuals so I can network, so I can learn from the best, and then I want to share it with my network. So kind of a group thing, kind of everyone can benefit from it. And that's why we did this. And here we are, episode 25. With this episode, I want to do something special. I'm not bringing on anyone. It's mostly just going to be me talking, kind of sharing my experience as an entrepreneur, right? So I left my job in January 2022. I was working in institutional asset management for a large bank, and my background was investment management. So I left that job with the intention of starting up a hedge fund, and I had no idea that the next 6 months would turn into this. And honestly, I was just ready to just raise capital and then start trading, start doing the hedge fund route. But then something happened where I realized I have to go through a bunch of obstacles, which I personally enjoyed, to get to where I currently am and where I'm hopefully heading toward. Now, the reason I'm putting this episode together is so then you could see where I was 6 months ago, where I currently am, where I want to go. So that way, if you are trying to leave corporate America or leave your job so you can start your own business, be a full-time entrepreneur, you could kind of almost follow in my footsteps. So you could see, oh, here's some mistakes that Vijay made. Let's not make those same mistakes. Or, oh, wow, this worked really well for Vijay. Let's just copy and paste it. I want this episode to be a very useful episode for you guys if you are trying to start your own business. So that way, I'm literally just a few months ahead. I'm not 10 years ahead where it's not even relevant. This is kind of a great Vijay just left. Let's just use this knowledge. Great. Well, let's jump into it. So, as I mentioned earlier, I left corporate America January 2022, started up a hedge fund, and, I was able to raise a little bit of money, but I gotta be honest, I kind of got distracted. Raising capital was a little bit, or significantly more difficult than I thought. I was able to raise some, so I was happy with the amount that I raised just so I could build out my professional track record, right? I still have my track record in my personal accounts, but not through the actual fund. So I raised just enough capital, but then when I started going to networking events and I started meeting people, I realized that significant amount of people, at least in my network, were not qualified clients for my hedge fund. So a qualified client. This is someone who has at least a $2.1 million net worth excluding primary residence. So these networking events that I attend are more for, startup entrepreneurs, kind of people looking for capital themselves. And so I was just not necessarily in the right circles to raise capital for my own business. But then I realized within my own circle, I'm part of the FIRE community, stands for Financial Independence / Retire Early. And this community is all about work because you want to, not because you have to, right? So it's about saving aggressively, investing those savings into index funds or real estate or different asset classes. So then one day you can live off your investments and you're not tied to your W-2 job. And this is a concept that I've been very familiar with, and I was living the valleys before even hearing about the term FIRE. And so once I got into the community, I realized everyone is just investing in index funds. And then I realized, okay, this is a great strategy for people who don't really want to spend that much time managing their investments. And so then I realized, what if I could teach them a strategy which they can use in their own investment portfolios, which maybe take less than 30 minutes a month. And because of that, they'd be able to retire even a decade earlier, right? So these people are already on the FIRE journey. People want to retire early, but by teaching them just a slight enhancement with their investment strategy, they could actually speed up their retirement significantly. And so that's how I started thinking, because I realized I'm serving this high net worth clientele over here, but I'm leaving kind of the everyday man or woman out of it. And that's why I started, actually, you are the first ones to hear this, I am launching a new company, in addition to the hedge fund I'm already running, called Option Selling Secrets. Now, Option Selling Secrets is an educational company, which is actually taking the exact strategy my hedge fund uses for high net worth individuals and teaching it in a practical way for the everyday investor to use in their own investment portfolios. So this way, you can literally just copy and paste my fund's strategy into your own investment portfolio. And, there's going to be a Discord community. So if you have any questions, you can just reach out. It's a groupthink type of platform. And the whole point of this is so you can retire a decade early doing the minimal amount of work, right? If you're familiar with the 80-20 principle, it's 20% of the efforts give you 80% of the results. And that's what this course and this group is designed to do, right? So just learn a slight incremental amount of knowledge. Now use that and then you could literally speed up your retirement by 10 years, maybe even more. The whole point of this is while I'm on my mission and quest to raise capital, I don't want to leave other people behind who want to invest with me, but I can't legally take their money. So I'm like, hey, let me just teach you how to do it. So that's the reason why this came about. So that is the first major announcement in the last, 6 months. Now, another major thing, kind of important, kind of not really too relevant, but I am changing my hedge fund management company's name. So it was Kailash Capital Group. I am changing it to another name. And the reason is it's for legal purposes, right? So there was another company out there who has a name called Kailash Concepts, named after the mountain. Apparently they have the trademark to Kailash and anything related to finance. So after engaging my attorney and realizing it's not a battle I want to fight, just because I'm a startup, I don't have that much cash to fight legal costs, I just decided it's better just to accept it. And so even though Kailash is my last name, I have to change my company's name. So after this legal fight over the last few months, I've decided to change my company's name to Vijay Kailash Investment Group. Doesn't change anything else, but just kind of a, FYI. So if you see it on social media, you see it anywhere, that's the reason. Just for legal purposes, I had to change my name from Kailash Capital Group to Vijay Kailash Investment Group. So those were two major announcements. Now I have a third major announcement before we get into the next part of this episode. And it is that we hit 2,000 downloads, and it's all because of you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for sharing this podcast with other people. And it really does mean a lot to me because actually I had one of my friends reach out to me and she got a public speaking gig. And coincidentally, I interviewed someone on my podcast who specializes in public speaking coaching. So because of my podcast, those two were able to connect and she got a lot of great advice and she absolutely crushed it during her public presentation. And it's hearing stories like that which really inspired me to continue doing what I'm doing. For sure, I'm doing this to learn from other people, right? That's why I'm doing this. But what I really like about the show is that I can bring on other people and teach everyone else in my network the value that people have dedicated their entire lives to learn. And that's what I love so much about this. And so again, I just want to say thank you so much for 2,000 downloads. It means so much to me. And thank you for listening to this episode. All right, so let's transition into the next part of this episode. I'm going to talk about some of the hardships that I went through over the last 6 months and some piece of advice for startup entrepreneurs who are just starting their journey. So hardships. The first major obstacle that most entrepreneurs face is time management. As in, it's not that you have so much to do and how do you allocate it? It's that you have absolutely zero structure and you have to create your own schedule to allocate it efficiently, right? You could literally have a million things to do and you feel overwhelmed because you don't have a structure to get it done. When I first left corporate America, because the last 5 years, that's all I knew, right? Meetings, Monday through Friday, you just have meetings all the time and you don't really get any work done. Kind of kept that same mentality when I was an entrepreneur. And I realized that Monday through Friday, my time were just in meetings, right? Kind of, some were useful, some were kind of pointless, but then I'm like, Vijay, what are you doing? You are your own boss. You could literally say no to meetings. And it took me a few months to realize that. So then what I started doing is, yes, some of these meetings were important, but if it didn't have to happen that day, I started allocating specific days to just meetings, right? So I remember Saturdays were actually my favorite day. And then I realized why. It's because I had 0 meetings. It's because everyone else is, at the lake, at the pool, everyone's doing fun things. And so no one wants to schedule meetings on Saturdays. And Saturdays were the days I could get the most done, right? Wake up at 8 o'clock, I go on a hike, I come back and I work for, 10 hours on a Saturday. I'm like, this was incredible. I got so much done. And so then I realized, after talking to some very close people to me, they said, Vijay, why don't you just do that during the weekdays? And it just hit me. It's like, right, why don't I? So then I started becoming more intentional about being defensive with my time. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I stopped having meetings unless it was absolutely crucial. And so I used Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays to just work on deliverables. And Thursday, Fridays were kind of my quote unquote weekends where I could just have meetings, 8 a.m. through 6, just back-to-back meetings. So during this time, I already knew I wasn't planning to get anything done. And so that way I could be more present in the meeting because it's not like, oh my gosh, I have a million things to do. It's because I got everything done from Saturday through Wednesday. And Thursday, Friday, I'm a social guy, so I just like talking to people, go to networking events, grabbing coffees, Zoom calls, right? I have everything going on and I was able to structure it and kind of siloing tasks and being efficient that way. So then that way I could work on the most important tasks on Saturday through Wednesday. So that was something, it took me a few months to learn, but honestly, the moment you're able to say no to meetings or the moment you're able to combine all the meetings together, you'll notice a significant improvement in your productivity. And another piece of advice is nutrition and exercise. This is so important, right? I actually got myself a Fitbit, and the reason for that is I'm realizing I wake up and I go straight to my computer and I don't prioritize anything else. I'm just like, I have to get a million things done. And then I realize my productivity, my efficiency, everything goes down significantly. But then the moment I start eating well, I start getting my 10,000 steps in, the moment I start exercising 3 to 4 times a week, my productivity also improves significantly. This is something that I'm still working on prioritizing, and it's extremely important, right? You have so many things to get done, but think of it as an investment with your time, right? You have 24 hours. Now, if you're able to invest 1 hour into self-care, such as exercise or cooking well, you can get 2 to 3 hours of productivity back. And as an investment guy, that's great. That's 100%, 200%, 300% return on your time back. And it makes sense to do from a mathematical standpoint, but also you just feel better. You can just live a better quality of life. Now, another piece of advice, and I'm just naming these off as I'm thinking about them, but a very important thing to do, especially when you have unstructured time, is to schedule time to have fun. This is incredibly important, right? You need to schedule activities in the evening or put something on the calendar where you enjoy doing, because in that way, what happens is, let's say I have a barbecue I need to get to at 5 o'clock, or not get to, but I choose to attend at 5 o'clock. That means I have to get everything done by 3:30. So then that way I have time to get ready and drive over there. So instead of working after 3:30, it forces me to take all my time and condense it into a smaller amount of time, get everything done, and then that way I can go enjoy the evenings and I just have a more satisfactory life. This is such an important concept. Make sure you schedule fun, because the moment you don't, you're just going to be grinding nonstop. And when you do that, you start burning out. So make sure you schedule something. And fun is different for other people, right? Sometimes it could literally just be watching a movie at home. I love watching movies. So make sure you do something which you can just relax, shut off your brain, let it recover. And so then the next day you are 100% ready to go. Another thing which I really recommend is to get in the habit of reading, and not necessarily reading physical books. I personally use Audible just because I don't dedicate time to physically read books, but I know that when I'm walking to get my 10,000 steps or I'm exercising, I put on my headphones and I just listen to Audible, and I'm learning a ton from so many successful people, right? People are literally putting decades of their life's experience into a short 6-hour book. And you listen to it at 2x speed, you're able to get through a decade's worth of material within just 3 hours. It's insane. And so they cut out all the noise. They give you just the main big takeaways, and you go through it really fast, but then you rewind it and you re-listen to the same chapters that are the most relevant to you. So you kind of skim it at a high level going fast, and then you go back and you re-listen to it and actually take notes based on how relevant it is to what you're working on. If you're looking for book recommendations on my website, vijayKailash.com, I have my book recommendations, but I also have all the book recommendations from everyone I've interviewed on this podcast, so you can use it and learn from other people. Get in the habit of reading, even if it's just 10-15 minutes a day. I don't follow this 100%, but something I'm trying to get in the habit of is when I wake up, before doing anything else, just put on my AirPods, click play on my current Audible, and then I go brush my teeth, kind of get ready for the day, because in that way I get 15 minutes of listening. And remember, at 2x speed, that's 30 minutes of an Audible. I do that for 10 days, I'm able to finish a book. And so it's little things like that you're trying to kind of optimize, but only if you want to, right? And then after that, you go back, and this kind of brings me to my next point, meditation. Again, this is still something that I'm trying to be consistent at. I was consistent for about a year, but then I kind of dropped off trying to get back into it personally. But meditation is so important, and it basically clears your mind, gives you time back for yourself. Right? When was the last time you scheduled a date with yourself? Right? You call up your friends, you go to bars, you go do fun things, but when was the last time you actually put time on the calendar to take care of yourself? This is so important, because every day, right, we wake up, we're running, we have a million things to do. When do we actually take time for ourselves? And you have to figure out when is the best time for you. Right? With me, it's usually in the morning. So after I wake up, I go exercise. Immediately after that, shower, then you meditate, and then I start my work. So meditation doesn't have to take that long. You could literally set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes. You just close your eyes, just breathe in with your nose, breathe out with your mouth. Go slowly, and then set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes and just focus on the inhale and exhale. And yes, your mind's going to get distracted. That is natural. That's the whole point. It's to train your mind to focus, and then when it distracts itself, just bring it right back. Don't need to be hard on yourself, but just bring it right back. And you just feel so much better, because now you're in control of your breath. you're in control of your mind, and then you're in control of what you want and can achieve. Meditation is so important and highly recommend you guys to check it out. Actually, one of my first few episodes on the show was someone who is big into meditation, and she teaches it. Go check it out, and she will talk about meditation and the benefits of it. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is how do I spend my day? It's all about structure, right? We talked about it just a little bit earlier. I've personally been trying to figure out what I can do right now to get the maximum result for the rest of my life. I know I want to be an entrepreneur. That is my lifelong goal for basically till I die. I don't see myself ever quote unquote retiring because I love what I do. There's a reason I get up in the morning. No one's telling me to do anything. In fact, I'm paying to do this. I'm getting zero revenue right now, or nothing substantial, where I'm literally paying money to do what I'm doing because I love the mission. I love what I'm doing rather than going for just a paycheck and kind of hating it, right? So this is kind of what my schedule is like. Wake up, Audible, get ready, go to the gym. I usually just work out in my garage, come back, shower, meditate for a little bit, and then right after that, do something known as a Pomodoro. A Pomodoro is one of the best time management techniques in my personal opinion. You basically set a timer for 25 minutes. You do very deep work. This means no phones, no emails, absolutely zero distractions. You work for 25 minutes intently, and then after that, you take a 5-minute break. When you take this 5-minute break, you don't look at your phone, you don't do anything. You use the bathroom, you get water, you get coffee if you need, come back, but you get back to another 25-minute session. 25 minutes of deep work, again, zero distractions. Now, after that 25-minute timer runs off, do another 5-minute break. Again, no phones. Then 25 minutes, 5-minute break, and the last time you do about a 15-20-minute break. The point of this is, let's say you have a task that's due in 5 days. When are you going to do it? You're probably going to do 80% of the work in the last 24 hours, right? You're probably not going to get it done right now because you know you have 5 days to get it done. Now, Pomodoros basically set that artificial deadline for you. You have 25 minutes to knock out this task. So you go all out and you get it done. Now you take a quick 5-minute break. Now you get back and finish that task if you haven't finished it yet, or you move on to the next task. So that's why this is so incredible. It's like imagine being able to complete an entire week's worth of work in just one day. And that's how you're supposed to do it with Pomodoros. You can do 25 minutes. I personally use 50 because I realize by the time 25 minutes comes up, my flow is just getting started and now the timer goes off, so I'm obligated to take a break. And that's also very important. Make sure you actually take the break. The moment you go through it, your productivity is going to diminish significantly. So make sure when the timer goes off, you have to take a break. So I do 50 minutes. And so that way I get that flow. Then I have to take a 10-minute break, come back, do another 50 minutes. And you do about 4 or 5 of those a day. And that's kind of the maximum. And you're able to get so much done compared to other people who don't use this technique. And if you're not an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, you could do this at work as well. Imagine finishing a week's worth of work. Now you have 4 days off, right? I mean, you're still kind of doing work, but you get your time back to do whatever else that gives you more value in life. So what am I doing during these Pomodoros? Initially, it was raising capital for my fund, but recently I've been shifting my time to more content creation and actually launching this course, Option Selling Secrets, that we talked about earlier. Now in the course, we have a bunch of videos, and that's kind of where my time was being spent the last few months, creating these videos, creating a step-by-step instructions for people to go and learn how to basically trade options in their own portfolio and learn from someone who does it professionally, right? Someone who's actually left their job to do it. And so that's where my time's been going. I've been more intentional about creating social media posts. The reason I've been so much more intentional about posting more on social media is I was actually at a conference in Las Vegas in April, and the conference, it's called Fund Launch Live. It's about how to launch, scale, and grow your fund. And one of the speakers, he said, he was on the stage and he asked, do you know how I raised $50 million? And people are like, no, how? He said, I post 2 YouTube videos. And at that point, that just absolutely blew my mind because I'm out here going networking events, trying to build one-on-one relationships with people and, trying to get capital for my fund. But then this guy's just like, I'm just posting content. And then it hit me. I know who he is, but he has no idea who I am. But just the fact that he's built so much credibility in the real estate business, people are just throwing money at him. Even though he doesn't actually know his investors know, like, and trust him to give him money. It kind of got me thinking that, hey, let's be smart about this. Let's cut down on the networking events and spend that same 3-4 hours each night building content, right? You can serve more people. You can help more people. You can inspire more people. And that way you have an asset on social media that will consistently provide value for more people, but also for them to know, like, and trust you to do business with you in the future. And I just thought that was a better use of my time. So I've been significantly cutting down on personal networking events. Yes, I still go. I still enjoy the social interaction. I'm just trying to be more intentional about which ones I actually attend. And I'm trying to double down on my social media efforts. The reason why I share this is if you are starting a business, figure out who your niche is, figure out who you're trying to serve, and then create content that they would like for free, right? Give away your best content absolutely for free. Because then that way you're top of their mind. People want to do business with others who have already helped them, right? You give someone something for free, you're going to be the first person that they think about for anything related to that topic, right? And even if they're not your immediate clients, they may run into someone, and if they're good at networking, they may refer you to them. They may say, oh, check out Vijay's Instagram. He has a bunch of free content about personal finance and how you can retire a decade early, right? I'm not selling anything. It's purely helping others, knowing that the law of the universe will come back and give back. And that's the type of mentality you need to have, right? It's very difficult at first when you're just trying to scrape by, right? You don't have revenue coming in. You need to figure out how can I do this if I don't have any money coming in? And you just have to trust and believe that the more you give without expecting much in return, the more you're going to have. And I've seen this over and over again by studying these multimillionaires, the people at conferences who are literally giving away so much information. But of course, they're selling a course, they're selling their coaching program, but because they're giving away their information for free, I trust them. Now I know if I need coaching in this niche category, I know exactly who to contact because they've already given me so much value for free. I almost feel like subconsciously, that's who I want to go with. I'm sure there's thousands of other people who do maybe even a better job, but they haven't promoted themselves accordingly. So I don't even know who they are. So the whole point is to give as much as you possibly can and knowing you will get so much value back in return. So that's pretty much how I've been spending my time, right? Raising capital, working on my course, giving free content, helping other people, going to networking events, trying to figure out this entrepreneurial life. Because you have to not only learn your specific expertise, you have to learn everything 360 degrees, right? Like my background's finance and investing, but now I have to learn marketing, I have to learn legal, I have to learn compliance. I may even need to learn HR stuff, at least at high levels, as I'm starting to bring on more people. There is so many aspects of business that I have to learn, which I was not professionally trained in, and I personally, honestly, didn't even have interest in. But now I'm starting to have interest because now I'm obligated to learn it so then I can be a successful entrepreneur. Just get ready. Let's say you have a business. What's going to happen is once you jump into it, you will have to learn 360 degrees everything, especially if you're doing it by yourself. If you have a partner, cool, you could split it 50-50 or basically however the partnership is divided, but I'm doing everything 100% by myself. Yes, I have a very strong support network who are great for bouncing ideas off, but I'm the one doing the executing. So as you are making that transition into entrepreneurship, just know it is going to be a little tough, or that's a huge understatement. It's going to be extremely difficult because you have to learn so many aspects of business. So let's talk about where my goals are for the next year. And this is me being fully vulnerable, just sharing what's going through my mind. So, maybe use it, maybe not. But I've realized throughout this year, I've been potentially getting distracted. Maybe I'm justifying with, oh no, this is good. This is exactly what I need to do. And I don't know how I feel about this personally, but I left my job to start a hedge fund to raise capital. Now, while I was going through that, I realized I need to do something else. So then I started building a foundation with this podcast and posting on social media. And I think I'm doing it right, but I'm, haven't really seen crazy results. Like I've seen a lot of people benefit from it, but I haven't seen results coming into my pocket money-wise. Does that make sense? And that's 100% okay because I know this is for the long-term game. This is not short-term. It's not, great, let's put out free content, get money immediately. That's not how it's going to work. But I'm fully aware it's going to take a few years for me to ramp this up. I could have just doubled down and just raised more and more capital and just continued going down that route. But then I don't know whether I was using it as a distraction or whether I was trying to procrastinate. I don't know what it was, but I started this podcast and posting more. And so a piece of advice is you need to figure out whether what you're doing is exactly what you want to do. And it's okay if you realize, hey, I'm going to deviate on my strategy. It's okay to realize, yeah, I thought I really wanted to do this, but I'm actually getting a lot more fulfillment and enjoyment in my life doing this instead. And so it's okay to pivot and being intentional about pivoting, but it's also important to recognize if you're pivoting too far and you're doing it as a pure distraction rather than, oh, okay, this is actually part of the entire business plan of how you can become a successful entrepreneur. So everything I've been doing is related to something that would help me grow as an entrepreneur, right? For example, this podcast. I bring on successful people so I can learn other aspects of business. And also, here's a great networking hack. Let's say I go to a networking event, right? There's going to be deca millionaires there, and I can't just call them up and, I don't have that relationship with them. But a great strategy is I talk to them and I ask them to be a guest on my podcast. They want that free publicity, and I get an hour of undivided attention with someone who can potentially be my investor. Now, that's one of the reasons I started this show. So yes, it sounds like a potential distraction, but I think I'm building out a great foundation, and I'm only sharing this with you so then as you are making that jump from corporate America into entrepreneurship, you should consider potentially starting a show if you think that would be beneficial for you. You can just continue getting sales and just grinding that way, but the bigger your network is through social media or through these platforms, in the long run, I think it may benefit you longer. Yeah, short term, you're not necessarily going to get sales immediately, but long term, I think it may benefit. Another piece of advice that I have is as you're trying to sell your product and you realize people are not necessarily buying or investing, try to figure out whether it's your product that's the issue or whether it's the market you're looking to serve that's the issue, right? You can have an incredible product, but the problem is you're pitching it to the wrong people. And that is something that I'm learning about myself, right? I started going to real estate networking events trying to get investors to invest in my fund, but then I realized, Vijay, these guys and girls invest in real estate, not in public equities. Right? They're not even the same asset class. They're not going to do that. However, if I start going to more networking events related to stock market investing or fire meetups like we talked about, which are, passive index fund investing, this would be an incredible product. And it's all about finding it, right? It's the same product, it's just I'm serving the wrong clientele initially. And that's why I was not having as much luck. But then when I started gravitating and showing this product to people who already invest in index funds, who are my target clientele, I started seeing a lot better results. And so this is very important. You can have an incredible product, but make sure your audience, make sure your clients actually want it. And again, that's the reason why I started optionsellingsecrets.com, right? I have my high net worth individuals who I can serve, but a lot of people can't actually legally become my hedge funds clients. So I started this educational platform where people can literally copy and paste my fund strategy into their own investment portfolios. So that's how I'm trying to serve a different clientele through the exact same strategy. Now, if you are an index fund investor or a passive stock market investor and you want to learn, we actually have free videos on optionsellingsecrets.com. You don't need an email address or anything. You can just go watch these videos, and if you have any questions, reach out. I'm definitely more than happy to answer and help in any way I can. Well, I guess that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I mean, there was so many ups and downs, so many highlights during the last 6 months, and it was incredible. I mean, a lot of things happening in my personal life, but kind of kept this on the professional level only. Maybe future episodes I'll get more in the personal life, but I want to say thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for the 2,000 downloads. Thank you for episode 25. This is not possible without any of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have any questions, if there's anything I can do to help you, if you need access to my network, if you need introductions, anything I could do, reach out, use me as a resource. I'm on your side. I want to see you become successful. So thank you again, and I hope you have just an incredible day. Thank you.